Oh man. Look at this. I'm gonna guess that these are the more expensive huts. So, let's see, you are here. This is where the boat dropped us off. Very narrow and then longer. And here you got the classic Maldives hotels on the water. Whoa. I am seriously tripping out. Thanks a lot. Glad to be here.
Hello.
Hello.
Paradise.
Thanks a lot. It's a good place to be. This
So
one
you can
or...
just get in India very first seat.
Sure.
First seat, sir.
Thank you. It's a story, but I made it.
Welcome to paradise, sir. Thank you. Welcome to paradise.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome, sir. Welcome to paradise.
Look at what we got there. Bottles. Bottles of liquor. Hello. What is this here? Juice?
Ice, yeah, it's a tea. The strawberry.
What is it?
Hot tea.
A hot tea. Strawberry tea. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, the weather isn't great, but despite that, I'll take this. This is such a complete change of scene from where I spent the past couple of days. I will explain what's going on once I get all checked in here. That is a nice view. I'll give a room tour I will tell you the price of this room here and the whole expense of staying at the resort here. I am not going to do a full tour of the resort in this video. I will save that for tomorrow and hope for better weather for exploring this Paradise Island. It is actually called Paradise Island Resort on Paradise Island. I think that is the map. I'm not sure exactly of the length, but it is definitely not very long. It might be like half a kilometer or something like that. I will find out more when I go out and explore this afternoon. It is about 5 p.m. now. It has been a long day. I'm pretty wiped out. For those who have not seen my previous video, then the context and the title of this video might be a little confusing. For those who did see the last video, then there will be much more understanding of what's transpired in the past 24 hours, but I'm going to tell the whole story because there is much more that has transpired than what I showed in the last video. So I'm going to start at the beginning of my Maldives trip. So I arrived in the Maldives about a week ago. I went first to Malé, the capital city, and spent 2 nights there. I recommend it. It is quite interesting, worth a stop, at least just to walk around for a few hours. A lot of people just go from the airport straight to the other islands, especially if you're going to an all-inclusive, one of the private islands. So that is the second boat trip that you saw of me getting on another boat and then coming here from the airport. So I spent 2 nights in Malé there, and then I went to the island of Dhiffushi for 3 days, where I did a snorkeling trip. And on the snorkeling trip, actually before the snorkeling trip, that I met this girl from the Philippines who was staying at the same hotel. We were walking from the boat ferry over to the hotel when we first arrived. Really quick, look at this little bird, a cute. Let's see if he gets out from under the chair there. What is that? Some kind of a local bird. There we go. Cute little guy. All right, and so I met this girl from the Philippines on the island of Dhiffushi, and then coincidentally we ended up on the same snorkeling tour 2 days later. And then after the snorkeling tour, then she was leaving the island of Dhiffushi and going to Paradise Island Resort. Now, the fact that I am here at Paradise Island Resort now is not a coincidence. I will explain why in the course of this video here. And so I left Dhiffushi and went next to Dhiffushi. Dhiffushi is another island that is independent. And so in the Maldives, you have the local islands and the private islands. The local islands are where local people live. There is a village. People have lived there for who knows how long and have regular lives there. And then there are also hotels there that you can stay at. The private islands are privately owned by resorts. And so as far as I know, then there aren't villages on any of the private islands. I don't know, maybe some of them do, but my understanding is the private islands is basically just a resort on the island, and that is it. The resort owns the island, takes care of the island. You have full reign to explore around the island if you're staying at that resort. And so Darlene then, from the Philippines, was going from Dhiffushi Island to Paradise Island Resort here and staying for 2 nights at the end of her trip. I left Dhiffushi, went to Dhiffushi by ferry boat, speedboat. I had 3 nights reserved at a very inexpensive hotel on the island of Dhiffushi that I just booked myself on booking.com. And so I get to Dhiffushi and get checked into my room there and then explore around a little bit the first day. And it was not up to expectations quite as I was, envisioning. It was, kind of garbage strewn and a lot of abandoned, buildings that were construction projects that were probably abandoned and, the project put on hold because of the pandemic, I'm going to guess, because there was quite a few of them. I just did a quick little tour the first day because I arrived in the afternoon. And then the next day, then I made another video, which many of you will have seen, showing more of the island, including the Bikini Beach. So the Bikini Beach is something that is on, I guess, most of the islands, especially the local islands. It's called Bikini Beach for obvious reasons, because people can wear a bikini there, women assuming, but men can wear Speedos and you can wear the normal swimsuits. The Maldives is a Muslim country, it is conservative, and so you're not allowed to walk around the village wearing a bikini and a Speedo, or even to go to certain beaches and wear bikinis and Speedos there. There's the bikini beach, and then there might be other beaches in which you should wear something that covers up your body more. And so the bikini beach then is like supposed to be the nicest beach on the island. That was the case on the previous island that I'd been to, Dhiffushi, a very nice beach right in front of the hotel where I was staying. And so I went to the bikini beach, and as many of you saw, I started my video there, and it was just an absolute mess. I started off in this abandoned, derelict building that looked like it was hit by a hurricane, like literally. There are not hurricanes in the Maldives. It is outside of the hurricane zone, so apparently no hurricanes have ever hit the Maldives. However, they do have very strong storms, and the wind and rain is relentless. So I'm not sure what happened to that building, but I walk out of the building, and then right there is the bikini beach, and it is absolutely just covered in garbage. There was nobody else there. As I talked about in that video, then, to my understanding, part of the issue that was going on here with this island is that it is low season. In high season, there would be more tourists. There was almost nobody else on the island as far as tourists, and just a few locals. But as I showed when I filmed that beach, literally nobody else there, and just garbage all over the place, and there were little sort of like shade huts and sun tanning beds that were kind of turned over on their side. And so the whole scene had just been kind of, neglected and was looking like a big storm had just hit or something, and was not a pleasant place to lay on the beach and take a swim. And so after that day of filming, I had 2 more nights at the hotel, and thinking about it then, for obvious reasons, I was not all that inspired to spend another 2 nights and a full day there, also because my trip is coming to a close. And here I'd been in the Maldives for a week and hadn't experienced like the real Maldives experience, what you guys expect, what I expected to see, what most people see when you see videos of travel vloggers going to the Maldives, of the ultra pristine beaches and the luxury experience and the bungalows sticking out in the water and, island paradise in its true sense. And so I started thinking about how I could make a 5-star luxury resort experience happen. Now, I had seen across the water from Dhiffushi, the island that I was on there, another island called Miru, and I had looked into it, and it was a private island that had a single resort on it. Now, I'm going to also answer a question here that some people probably oftentimes have in the course of explaining the next little phase of the story, which is, why don't I make use of my YouTube channel here and my 500,000 followers to get free accommodation more often? There's a very practical explanation for why I don't make use of that, which is that it just does not work into my traveling style. I am a spontaneous traveler. I book my accommodation usually the day before, sometimes when I'm sitting on a bus on the way to my destination that very same day. Whereas setting up the accommodation in that sense of, having the free accommodation requires you have to contact them, of course. First of all, you have to do some advanced research, and you want to send out like a bunch of emails to a bunch of different hotels. So you have to do all the research of finding all of the hotels and then finding their correct contact email address. It can't be like the reservations office, because the email will probably just get lost. And so you have to do all that in advance, first of all. But secondly, you need time to wait for your responses. It takes time. If you even hear anything back at all, mostly you don't hear anything back. And so it just does not work practically into my traveling style at all. But in this case, then I was thinking, well, the island is there, I am right nearby, and so let's give it a try and see about possibly getting a couple of free nights at this Miru resort. So I found their contact email, sent them a message, and then after that, I was thinking about it and thought, well, what about that Paradise Resort that Darlene had stayed at? And so I thought, well, I'll just copy the same message and send it off to them. The next morning, there was some good news. I had a message from the resort on the Miru Island that is right next to Dhiffushi there. However, it said, thanks for your message. click this link and then fill out this form, and then we will get back to you later. So I did that, filled out the form, and then that day I went out and recorded my video. I did not hear anything further back from either the Miru Resort or the Paradise Island Resort. So today is May 18th. So this was all transpiring yesterday, May 17th. My flight out of the Maldives is May 21st. So my checkout date for the hotel that I had on Dhiffushi Island was May 19th. And so that meant I had like a day and a half because my flight is actually in the evening on May 21st. But if I were to stay my full 3 days at the hotel in Dhiffushi, check out the 19th, then basically I would have one extra night to stay somewhere else before I wanted to get back to the same island that the airport is on, because I did not want to leave my boat trip for the same day that my flight was, May 21st, even though my flight isn't until in the evening. However, there are lots of storms here in the Maldives, especially now because it is going into rainy season. And so basically I didn't want to leave the boat trip for the last day. I wanted to come back on the 20th just in case boats were canceled. And this story will explain why that is something you want to think about in any sort of a island situation in which there's likely to be bad weather. And so point being, I did not have much time left to work with. If I wanted to have the luxury experience, like this place here, then I needed to make it happen the next day. I needed to get going today. And so I needed to let go of the idea of the resorts getting back to me and getting the free accommodation and just book something online. And so I looked on booking.com, and the price here at the Paradise Resort was $393. That is for 2 nights. That includes all taxes. That includes breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but not drinks. So basically $197 per night for all-inclusive without the drinks. So that is a pretty good deal for the Maldives. The prices just go up from there. I mean, basically like $250 a night is probably your dirt cheapest deal that you're going to find for the all-inclusive private island 5-star luxury resort experience. And that is the low season price. So prices could be a lot higher than that. And so I booked the resort for arriving today, but the issue is going to be then getting from Dhiffushi Island to Paradise Island Resort. So getting around the Maldives is not easy. If you don't have a flight set up or a boat ride with a resort straight from the airport, already set up. That is what I did today that you saw the second boat trip. But in my research yesterday, then there were sort of various options, but limited. And so it was looking like one option was I could go from Dhiffushi, catch a boat to Malé, the capital city, and then from there catch another boat to Dhiffushi, which is right next to Paradise Island Resort here, and then from there catch another boat to Paradise Island Resort. And so that was going to be 3 boats. Luckily, I did not try to do that because talking with one of the check-in people here after I arrived, it sounds like that wouldn't have been possible to have gone from the nearby local island straight to here. So I was checking the options, and there was basically 2 boats going from Dhiffushi Island to Malé Island, and then from there I would figure things out. But there was one at 7:30 in the morning and one at 1:30 in the morning. And so I wake up around 9:30 this morning, and one of the first things that I do is I send a message to the manager of my hotel there in Dhiffushi and let him know that I'm going to be leaving a day early. And then I also ask him just to confirm that in order to get over here to Paradise Resort, I should take the 1:30 boat back to Malé. He sends me back a message, and this is where things get especially challenging, and says, oh, the 1:30 boat is canceled because of the weather. Now, it was raining outside, but not crazy. But later, it started to rain, and it started to rain, and it just like dumped hardcore. But in the course of the next hour or two, I start, working my mind as far as what are my other options. And I am asking him questions. So first of all, is there any other option for leaving the island? Are there any other boats going to like any other islands? No, there are not. There are only boats going to Malé. And so I then ask him, well, what about a private chartered boat? Like, how much would that be? He writes back, and that is going to be $450. So that is out of the question. And so I'm thinking further, and then, you know, concluding, well, if you split that $450, maybe like 2, 3, 4 ways, that's getting a little more reasonable, especially considering that if I don't make it here, I don't know if I can change the reservation. Even if I could change the reservation, then that puts me in the situation that I don't want to be in of leaving here on the 21st, the same day as my flight, and then being concerned about whether there's bad weather and the boats are canceled. And so I'm thinking, well, maybe I can find some other guests who are also stranded on this island today and want to get out of here, and we could all pool together, and then, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us split $450, and then it is more manageable. And so I'm messaging with the manager of the hotel there and letting him know, like, I'm considering the various options, and let me know if you hear about anybody else that might also be looking for a boat, or if something else comes through or anything. And then meanwhile, then I call the Paradise Island Resort and explain my situation and ask them if they have any ideas of how I could possibly get from that island to here. Basically, they say, we can't help you with, you know, getting from there to Malé or to the airport. But if you get to the airport, then there are boats going at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and 4:30. It is going to be $130 for their boat round trip. But still, that is a total ripoff. But this is looking like the only realistic option, conceivable option for me to actually get to the resort today. But I still have the conundrum of getting to Malé. That is about a 45 to 50 minute or so boat ride from Dhiffushi to Malé or the airport. Now, luckily, some good news comes through, which is that I get a message from my hotel manager that the boat is back on and it is leaving at 2 p.m. This is around maybe like 10:30, 11, something like that. And so there is at least a glimmer of hope. The problem is that is around the time that it starts to rain torrentially. It is just pounding, like one of the hardest rains that I've heard. The wind is blowing pretty good, not crazy winds, but this boat trip is definitely not a sure thing. And so I get all packed up, I get all ready to go, hoping that this is going to work out. Right up until like 20 minutes before 2 p.m., it is still raining really hard. I messaged the hotel manager, is this still on? He says, yes, I think that it is. It turns out the boat has actually been on the island for a little while because of another trip there, and they need to go back anyways, and so it is probably still going to happen. And so luckily it does. We get to the boat. Some other people come from another hotel, as you saw in the video there at the beginning. And then we get going and it all works out. It was a bumpy ride, but we got here, you know, in time, about like 3:15 p.m. We arrived at the airport, just straight to the airport there, which is across from the island that the city of Malé is on. There are two islands, so the airport is on Malé, and then Malé, the city, is on the island of Malé, which is just right across from the airport there. And so anyways, I am in time to catch the next boat at 3:30, and you saw all that. We got here and I arrived and everything worked out. So that was just like a real stroke of luck, because otherwise it was really just gonna throw everything off. And so I'm just really happy and grateful to be here. I'm now going to get out of here before it gets dark and go show you a little bit of the island, and then get into the bar area and grab a drink, take a seat, relax for a little while here, and then get some dinner. All right, let's get outside and go see what Paradise Island is all about. So this is such a complete and utter reality shift from the other island of Dhiffushi. You get what you pay for. Personally, I recommend, if you come to the Maldives and you have the time and the money, to experience both the local islands and the private islands. The local islands are where you get the experience of the local life, the local people, The private islands are where you get a exclusive, more pristine experience just because they have the dollars, you know? They're charging 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 800, 1,000, 3,000 bucks a night, whatever. And so they have the money to clean things up and make a true Paradise Island experience, appropriately named, because this is what you think of when you think of the Maldives. You think of this just soft white sand, clean. Okay, just as I say that, a piece of garbage, so let's do something about it. At least they have a trash can right there. Palm trees waving in the wind, warm, even if it's cloudy and a little sprinkly, it is still a very pleasant, nice place to be. Let's walk over to the other side of the island. But I am also really glad that I went to local island. I do not regret going to Dhiffushi, even though it was not, you know, what I was looking for. I am a traveler, not just a tourist, and I enjoy seeing all aspects. I mean, I seek out the crazy, weird, derelict types of places sometimes, so no regrets. But I'm also very, very glad that I made the decision yesterday to put things in motion to get the 5-star luxury experience happening before I left the Maldives. So I'm looking forward to the next day and a half of just kind of tripping out and blissing out on this very, very different sort of place and experience. Somebody parasailing out there, it looks like. I'm really just kind of in a bit of a daze after the events of the past 24 hours and how my reality has changed so completely and quickly from just a couple of hours ago when I was, you know, stressed out and not sure if this was going to happen. And they got ping pong tables, they have pool, oh my gosh, basketball, billiards, volleyball, tennis, badminton, weight room, steam, sauna, jacuzzi, gym, squash. Oh man. I can imagine just staying on this one island for a week easily. That water looks amazing. So I wonder how much these huts are. Must be more than 200 bucks. There you can see on the back, there are steps going right down into the water, so you have your own private entrance into the water. Now I am just hoping and praying for some sunshine tomorrow so I can really enjoy the water and the views.